Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Happy Halloween. So today we are doing a spooky church build that is centered around the current haunted bell tower prefab. Okay, so there's a couple of things we could do with this prefab, but I've decided, as it's spooky season at the moment, that we're going to lean into sort of a spooky, creepy church vibe. So, quite happy with the results here. Let's have a look at where we are on the map. First up, here we go, right up here at the top of the Savage Divide. So this is a spot I've not built before, which is quite cool. If you want to find it, head to the Bailey family cabin there and do a quick 180. You'll see the dirt track that you're standing on when you arrive. Just follow that up over the hill and it'll come out right next to where I've built on the road just here. So yeah, there's a couple of good spots nearby if you want a little point of reference, but an interesting spot. I'm glad to find this one. So let's get cracking. Here is the tower. Put that in already just to get a nice steady start, and it takes a while to find out where exactly to get that first foundation. So yeah, that's always worth saving some time on. So we'll get these first two in. Little pro tip here. If you snap the walls on like this, you can see the ribbing on the inside there is really helpful for helping you line up the foundations with the center there, especially when they're sort of off-centered like this. If you're not too worried about having the join straight down the middle and stuff, it makes life a lot easier. But if you want it to be square, then a little trial and error is required. I got a quick foundation in here. Over on this end, for the moment, we're going to do an interesting kind of entrance thing that I'm actually not going to keep. But it's quite a fun little thing, so I'll sort of show you what I did with it before we change it out later, because it doesn't quite work with the vibe of a church. So, we're going to stick a door up here, and I do like putting entranceways sort of on angles or on the side, stuff like that, because the turning on your way in just makes it a bit more interesting, I find. So, we have got a lowered foundation there to snap this porch onto, which allows us just to have everything at slightly different heights and make it a bit more interesting. You got to make sure that you're not too low though, otherwise you'll be in the way of the door. There we go. So we're going to chuck some walls on here nice and quickly, as it's dead easy. There we go. Sorted. And up next, I need to put some double-sided walls in, because I want an internal room, just one small one, that's just sort of an office or changing room, or both, for the resident priest, or would have been before the place got all creepy and spooky and haunted and stuff. So we'll do double-sided walls to make sure everything matches on the inside, and now we'll just get nice and simple, just arched roof on here, the sloped ones. And there's the thing with having them just two foundations wide, means it'll meet nicely in the middle at a peak, which looks quite cool. Gives the right vibe for the church anyway. This is not exactly the same as the churches you'll find all over the map in Fallout, but it's kind of got a good few nods in that general direction. I didn't want it to be too profoundly different from that. I wanted it to feel like part of the Fallout world. So, one of the reasons we kept it quite simple, and for the sort of general shape choices I made. So, let's grab some half walls and some triangle pieces and plug up some of these gaps. Don't need to worry too much about this, I'm going to change it all later anyway. Okay. So, the other week I mentioned that double-siding these triangle pieces on top of internal walls like this is kind of a nightmare. And very helpfully, somebody in the comments, Alleycat I believe it was, thank you very much, pointed out that actually there's a dead simple way of doing it if you use the basic vanilla brick pieces, a la these ones. So yeah, I had it in my head this was going to be really difficult. Not sure if it's just because I assumed the worst or if somebody had expressed a much more complicated way of doing it. It was a while back either way. So this is actually way simpler than I thought. Basically the same as if you want to double-side a half wall, you just have to use the vanilla brick pieces to do it. And then you can swap them out. Which is, yeah, that makes life a lot easier than I expected, thought, etc, etc. So, very, very cool, and I appreciate the tip. So, let's slap the other side in. There we go. Voila, double-sided triangle pieces. Nice and easy. So, now we're going to flip these around and just replace them with the haunted ones. Nice and simple. And I find them in the list. There we go. Sorted. Actually changed the wrong one there, but you know. That's right. Yep, flip that back again. Nice. So, let's get these last couple of roofs back on then, so they're not in the way anymore. Well, now that they're not in the way anymore, even. 1, 2, and we'll just close up this end as well. This is going to work, it's just a case of me looking in the right place and using the right piece. Nice. So there we go, sealed up, until we go and change stuff anyway. So running into the tower here, which is quite cool. Slight issue there with the gable end clipping through the wall, but we'll soon fix that. Just grab the tower and nudge it slightly further away. Pro tip here, I've mentioned this before, but when it comes to foundations and prefabs, move the prefab towards the foundation, not the other way around. And obviously the same applies in reverse as well, because it'll work much better that way. If you try to move a foundation towards a prefab, you generally start to have collision issues. But that should do the job. Stick some stairs by the back door. I'm going to make a couple of quick adjustments to this entrance and show you a couple of useful sort of tricks, because this railing doesn't want to snap in before we end up tearing the whole damn thing down again. So, yeah, that railing's not going in, so we're going to have to remove the stairs up first. Now we can just snap that in. Fortunately, like most of the railings, it's happy to float, so the stairs won't go in now because guess what? The railing's blocking them. So to do this, we'll just grab a foundation. There we go. Snap it onto the side so I don't have to faff around trying to lower it back down again. Now we can put the stairs in. No, wait. No, we can't. Now we can grab a flamethrower. If I remember what order I did things in here. Drop that down, and the flamethrower will destroy the railing, but not the foundations, so we don't need to worry about that. It helps if you aim it correctly, though. There we go. Now we can put the stairs in, and snap the foundation back, the porch there, flip that round, rid of the spare foundation, stick the stairs back on, repair the railing, and voila, a nice, interesting little entrance. Except that it's in the wrong end, and this doesn't really look like a church at this end now, so it's a bit jarring. So we'll pull that off and move the entrance over to the other side, I think. Make this formerly back door the main entrance instead. So, where is the porch? There it is. Nice. Stairs on. Oh, grab the right thing. There we go. And we'll grab some railings. Fortunately, we're not faffing around this time, so we'll actually go in nice and easy. A nice little curve around to go into the door there, rather than a straight-on approach makes it a bit more interesting. Nice. So, we'll have a quick look at the inside. And obviously, I've got these internal walls down at the end behind us now, down there. I'm going to move those to the other end, because we don't want to come in through the office. There we go. Exactly the same thing I did in the first place, just moved it to the other end. And it works quite nicely. We have this big open space to come into for the main part of the church, with the Reverend's office behind this wall here. So last thing I'm going to do is play around with the walls a bit. Turns out the windows beside the door here are not going to be a problem, because when I come to wallpaper it, it'll actually conceal them on the inside anyway, which is quite handy. So we can have nice matching walls all over, which is wonderful. So, with that little discovery made, I think it's time for me to head off and decorate this place, and we will take a tour of it in just a moment. Here we go. Spooky church. So this is much better. Proportion-wise, I feel like maybe it's a bit off. It feels like the lower section is maybe a little too long. But if I take that end room off, either I have to have the whole inside be too small or not have the back room on there, and I do kind of like that. So can't quite win on the proportions here, but otherwise I quite like this build. It's a suitably creepy church. I got a few bits out the back there because it's quite effectively bulldozed a lot of the trees and shrubbery, so I added a few bits back over there. I do quite like the vibe here. I have strived for this one to avoid it feeling too much like a Mothman-themed church. I've done one of those in the past, which, if I remember, I'll link around for you. It came out quite well, but I wanted to take it just pure spooky rather than Mothman-themed this time. So we've got skull totems and things like that, which are technically Mothman decorations, but they don't have too much of a Mothman vibe. I do like that some of the trees came back quite nicely here as well, to make it sort of feel like the environment's more part of the build. At least it did around the front anyway. Swapped out a couple of those roofs, but the windowed ones on there. And the tower looks pretty cool at the back there, I think, as well. Just a little graveyard here. I do like the iron fences there for that as well. It looks quite cool. And I've got a few cool little bits and pieces of decorations around. I've got the graves, obviously, some coffins and some doll heads on sort of little pieces of rebar, I suppose it is. And quite cool. I do like these new Halloween paper lanterns that are up there. They put out a surprising amount of light. They're a little bit too clean in some ways compared to the rest of the decor, but I did want to show them off. And hopefully I'll get some use out of them, because they'll work in sort of other settings as well, I think, in a kind of fun way. So here is the inside of our spooky, creepy church. A whole bunch of creepy, nasty-looking bits and pieces in here just to give that vibe, which works quite well, I think. Decided to lean into the fire and the skulls and things like that with the lighting solutions rather than using electric lighting, for the most part anyway. And it came out rather well. I just attached those bat lanterns as well, by the way, hanging off of the chandeliers. Turns out they were willing to go there just fine, and it adds a little bit of extra interest and detail, which is kind of cool. And a little bit of extra light, which is not such a bad thing, really. Tough balance with that, trying to get enough light for the visuals, but dark enough to be spooky for a Halloween build. So there we go. The idea with this little column contraption here with the bowl on the top was to try and imply a baptism font. Obviously, we don't really have anything in the game that will do the job for that. I had a couple of other possible ideas, but I couldn't make those work either. So you have to squint at that a little bit and pretend, but kind of got one in the corner there. We'll move it down the aisle to the centre, to the front. Piled loads of junk and nastiness around here to make the place seem semi-abandoned, spooky and stuff. And I quite like the vibe that came with this. Got a couple of Mothman bits there, but they don't scream Mothman so much as they scream this is horrible and nasty, so goes the right way there, I think. We'll have a little look at the office come changing room for the Reverend. A couple of fun mannequins around, thematic for the occasion. That is actually a Mothman outfit, but hey, it works with the witch head. Spooky clown picture, because, you know, clown pictures are always spooky. A little changing space down at the end there for the priest, and desk space to get some work done. There's a decent look at the lighting solution there. The wallpaper, by the way, is the Wildwood Tavern wallpaper. It turns out it's actually really quite versatile, this wallpaper. I like it quite a lot, so I do use it fairly regularly. There is a creepy nurse in the window, which I threw in there mostly for a nod to some other cool builds I've seen various people do in the past with that little feature in, and yeah, quite fun to have a creepy nurse peering out the window at you, in a spooky kind of a way. Got the new cobwebs in the windows as well, seen a few other places as well, so yeah, they're quite cool. They're kind of hard to spot in the dark a little bit, but they do add a little bit of extra texture and detail and stuff to the church, which is quite cool. Couple of Fashion Act decorations, which are not quite ideal, but they're kind of dark and hanging type of decorations, kind of works with the overall vibe as well. And that table there by the cash register is obviously where my vendor is. It's also where I'll put the candy bowl when I'm not touring it, because, you know, we know how much noise those things make. Handy for finding them, of course, but when you're touring, it's not ideal. Let's head out the back gate, close that up there, and we'll take a look at the bell tower, which is the prefab, which is arguably the core part of this build. My usual essentials out here, got the Rad Stag field dressing station, I've got a Collectron out here. I'm experimenting with collecting Nuka-Cola Quantum at the minute, we'll see how that goes. But this is the new Auto Miner Collectron that is on the current scoreboard, so yeah, quite like this guy. He's got some different dialogue, which is fun as well. Quite liking this tower. It has come out rather well. It's a good structure, and Bethesda have done a good job on designing that, or whoever has actually done the work, which is cool. The door's quite nice on it, and it will snap into any door frame as well. It doesn't just have to go on the prefab, which is always nice. I'll close that up. We'll take a look around in here. Less Halloween spooky themed in here, a bit more practical, as this is going to be our living space. I do like to have a living space functional kind of vibe to my camps, so they're not just solely thematic. They're also functional as well, and that's what this tower is doing. I will probably at some point reuse this tower in another build that doesn't have a church attached, and try some other interesting possibilities, because it's a bit of a squeeze trying to get all the workbenches in here. But we've done an okay job, I think. It looks pretty decent. Got our armour stuff down here, along with a decent bit of extra decoration. Let's head upstairs to the middle floor. These stairs can be a bit awkward to path up sometimes. You can get a bit stuck on them. It's not ideal, really. They do the job. None of my workbenches are actually blocking me here, which is good, because they were, as I say, difficult to squeeze in and I had to really get close to the stairs to get them in. There we go. Kind of fun. Had a bit of an issue getting some of the decorations in because of the enclosed space, but it looks okay. It works pretty well. Got some of the cobwebs in there. And all the workbenches are functional and accessible. So that's always a win. Always worth checking when you're putting workbenches in a tiny little space as well. Definitely worth making sure they work properly, because sometimes you'll find the entrance gets blocked rather easily, even when ostensibly it shouldn't. So let's head up to the top floor, where I have the sort of living room, bedroom, kitchen, all of that rolled into one space. Unfortunately, the sun's coming up a little bit here, so it's kind of taking the edge off the spooky, but we'll do what we can. We'll have to make do. So there we go, one tiny little living space on the top floor. This is really compact, but then it is a bell tower, so what do you expect? I do quite like the result. It's cool. I like the space. See up into the belfry there. Looks pretty darn awesome, I think. A couple of new bits and pieces added on there. By the way, that Vault-Tec flag, it's a Twitch Prime freebie that's available at the moment, so you can grab that if you want to. The bell works as well, which is always fun. Should say, by the way, if you do want to pick up that Twitch Prime bundle and you don't have Amazon Prime, bear in mind a free trial will get you access to it. So you can actually pick it up for free if you want to. And you haven't got Prime anyway. Weird thing here, though. Yeah, you can activate that bell from literally any point in the building. You don't actually have to press the button. You just have to activate the walls of the tower, which is a bit of an odd situation. I mean, sometimes you end up activating the bell when you're trying to activate a piece of furniture or something, but which is hardly the end of the world, but I'm not quite sure that's what they had in mind with the design. Or maybe it was, I don't know, but it seems odd nonetheless. Still, all in all, I really do quite like this bell tower, and I'm looking forward to doing a different variation on it. I'm not quite sure how we'll come up with a headcanon for it, but I think we'll come up with something fun eventually anyway. So yeah, quite like this. Take a little wander back downstairs. So I hope you folks did enjoy this little tour and this little Halloween themed build. Thank you very much for watching. If you did like the video, please do drop subs and likes. I very much appreciate. Hit that notification bell as well, and then you know when I upload and go live and all that good stuff. Speaking of, we are of course live streaming Fallout. Going to be doing that tonight as of day of upload. And we're jumping back into Starfield and continuing to live stream that, which I'm having an absolute blast with. And continuing to make some Starfield builds, some player homes and outposts and things as well, so do watch out for those. We've got some fun stuff coming up on that front as well. Check out below, we've got social media links, merch store, channel memberships on the blue join button as well if you're interested in supporting the channel that way. Massively appreciated, it really helps out, so huge thank you to everyone who's done that as well. But for now, I will say thank you very much for watching, happy Halloween, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.